Hi there and welcome to the 5th of the Build Me Up workouts here on RowAlong. I've suddenly gone all Scottish. Ooh. Right, today we're going to do 15 minutes worth of rowing because we've built up that far. But I'm going to continue to do what we've done from the very beginning and just get straight into some light rowing while I discuss and describe, not discuss, but describe what it is we're doing today. Okay, so first up, go to your drag factor on the Concept 2 and set that to where you want it to be. If you have a different rowing machine based on resistance, just get it to a point where you get a good feeling from the stroke, but you don't have to heave against it. Next up, set your monitor to eye height so you don't have to look up and you don't have to look down. And finally, set these foot straps so that they cover probably the bottom lace in your shoe or the balls of your feet. But the most important thing is that as you come to the front of the machine, your shins point vertically, okay? I'm going to just go and do my straps up. Okay, so just little light rowing just to get your body moving, get your heart rate up, okay? So don't worry too much about intensity, just get your body moving, okay? Here we go then, in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Right, so I'm going to be round about 20 strokes a minute-ish, just putting in enough of a push from my feet that I feel some effort going into the machine, but nowhere near anything that's really taxing. I just want to get my breathing rate up, my heart rate up, and get my body kind of moving backwards and forwards through the right angles, muscles moving a little bit. Now, spot the difference. You got it? New rowing machine. Been rowing on my grey Model D for the past 9 years, but I decided I wanted to donate a rowing machine to my kids' high school. So, rather than give them a new one, I'm going to donate my old grey one and keep this one because it's rather swish. Anyway, so today's session then, 15 minutes. What we're going to do is continue with the 3 intensities and rates we've been rowing at. So we're going to do 2 minutes at 20 strokes a minute, then 2 minutes at 24, and then 1 at 28. And then we're going to go through that 3 times. And that makes our 15 minutes. Very simple row, but it gives you a chance to work through different intensities and get used to rowing for 15 minutes. Okay, one more stroke. And I'm managing to keep these little light rowing intros around about 2 minutes. So hopefully that's enough to get your heart rate up. In fact, I haven't even started my watch yet for a rowing workout. Your breathing should be up. Mine obviously is because I'm talking away to you the whole time. But you should be ready for today's session. And like I say, we're starting at 20 strokes a minute, which is down at that kind of lower intensity, about 5, 6 out of 10. Just enough to get your heart rate up, kind of like what you were just doing then probably. And then we'll go up to 24, which will increase the intensity in order to get the rate up, but you'll just feel you're going a little bit faster anyway. And then the 28 will really take you up there, if only for a minute, and then you then come back down to 20, build up again, back down to 20, build up again, okay? So it's really just a way to make 15 minutes pass by nice and quick, to be honest. So anyway, because this is a new machine, I want to just make sure that everything works on it, so I have programmed a 15-minute row into the ErgZone app, which I'm now sending to the machine, hopefully. There we go, all good. Right, so we're going to start off at 20 strokes a minute and that round about 5 or 6 out of 10 intensity. Just a nice light intensity to build you up for this first 2 minutes before we then increase, all right? Here we go then, let's start our main session in 3, 2, 1, let's go. So this is 1 stroke every 3 seconds. Remember, you can either count down or up on your monitor, or you can just row along with me. I think, although I might have some quirks to my own stroke, my ratio of drive to recovery is pretty much what you want to follow, where, especially at 20 strokes a minute, it's really easy to break it down so that you do 1 second drive and 2 seconds recovery. Now I say that's a 2-to-1 ratio, but other people will say it's a 1-to-2 ratio. But the point is, your drive phase as you push your legs into the machine to get that power into your rowing machine should be twice as fast as your recovery at these lower stroke rates. As your stroke rate gets closer to 30, that ratio begins to change and you get closer to a 1-to-1 ratio. But down here, it's a good, powerful push and then a slower recovery. And in 3 strokes time, increase that push for a faster drive speed. Here we go. We're going up to 24 strokes a minute. So if you push harder with the legs, your drive speed will increase. And because you're trying to link the ratio between drive and recovery, if your drive speed increases, so does your recovery. And that's how you increase stroke rate. And because you are rowing more strokes per minute and you are pushing harder with your legs into the machine, you should find that you are going faster than you were at 20 strokes per minute. And again, in 40 seconds time, when we increase to 28 strokes per minute, you should find your pace will increase again. Now, if you want to go a lot faster for those 28s, by all means do, but I don't want you to slow down too much for the 20s in response. 3, 2, 1, here we go. So push harder with your legs. You should hear whatever machine you are rowing on change its pitch so it's louder, higher, in response to you rowing faster. 30 seconds to go on this one. And it's still full strokes you're taking at this higher rate. Don't shorten your drive or recovery to get faster rates. 2 more. 1 more. Back down to 20 strokes per minute. And some light or lighter effort rowing. Let this first 2 minutes, as you change down stroke rate, help you to recover. If you are building up as a new rower then you may find that you have had to slow down a fair bit to recover from those 28s, but try to get your pace back to where you were last time you were rowing at 20 strokes a minute. However, if you are coming back from injury or illness, really take your time to recover. If you feel any kind of bad aftershocks from those 28s, then just be sensible for the rest of this row. I don't want you to re-injure yourself, or worse, make yourself ill again. Okay, in 3 strokes time, we increase to 24. Here we go, after this one, 24s. Come on. So, increase the push of your legs into the machine to get more power in there. But that power needs to go in efficiently, and that efficiency comes largely from making sure you're in a good body position as you push with your feet. And that ideal position is tilted over your hips, leaning into the front of the machine, and straight arms. And the reason I say tilted is because I want you to think about hinging over your hips with your back rather than rounding your upper or lower back. It's important you have a good, powerful posture as you push into the machine to let that power flow from your legs into the handle. Okay, 5 strokes, and then we'll go to 28s again. 2 more. 1 more. 28s. Push harder with your legs. And remember, stroke rate comes just as much from the recovery as it does from the drive. So get the handle away from you smoothly but quickly. You're not jerking it away. You kind of want the rhythm to be the same speed in as the same speed out again. Nice, fluid, flowing rhythm. Okay, 2 more. 1 more. And back down to 20s for the last time. Ooh. So, for the first time in this series, I'm actually starting to perspire. So, it seems 10 minutes of this effort is when my body starts to go, oh, need to try and cool down. But again, this could be a byproduct of my body still not being fighting fit after COVID. So always when you're recovering from injury or illness, pay attention to things like this, like when do you start sweating? What is your heart rate like? Mine's 150, which is about 72% of my max. So I'm certainly working my body harder than I would have done prior to getting ill. So I can tell my body's still recovering. 3, 2, 1, up to 24s. Get that push of the legs into the machine. And do think about holding that forward tilt and your arms straight as you push your legs into the machine, and not just the start of the stroke. Try to hold that forward tilt until your legs are about halfway done, and your arms, well, they stay straight right up until the last quarter of the stroke. So you're really not pulling until the back of the stroke. Keep them straight and then pull. Straight, pull. Straight, pull. And that helps the power get into the machine. It helps prevent golfer's elbow or tennis elbow and many other potential injuries. And it also means you're using your muscles much more efficiently, which should help you row longer. Okay, 2, 1, up to 28s, come on. Almost said 88. This isn't Back to the Future. Remember, faster drive speed comes from more of a push with your legs, and then handle away starts your recovery. Get the handle over your knees before you bend your knees. If you find you need to throw the handle up and over your knees, you've not got your timing right. Okay, 2 more. 1 more. There you go. 166 heart rate finish for me. My rowing max is 183. So not really that far. That's probably what, about 85% maybe? I can't do maths. So I can use that information. A 15-minute row like that shouldn't have taxed me quite as much as it did. So it's a good indicator that I need to continue building up and looking after my body, and that it's still not time to go in and do anything properly fast and powerful, I should just stick and do low rate, low intensity stuff, let my body get stronger, and if there's any kind of still after effects from being ill, gives that chance to go out as well, because I really don't want to trigger long COVID by overdoing things. Okay, so just put in just row, and we're going to do our cool down. We're going to start exactly the same way we always do, where we're going to have 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot in the straps, then we're going to row for 30 seconds, swap feet, and then we'll do back and arms only, legs only to finish. Okay, you ready then? Let's start in 3, 2, 1, and we're off. So just pick a stroke rate where you know you can get yourself into the right body positions. This is a good time to think about that handle over the knees, and then that triggers your rock forwards over your hips, so that as the handle passes your knees, you're pretty much rocked forwards into the right position, and all you have to do is bend that to get to the front again. Swap feet, and we can continue on the other side. If you're keeping an eye on the timer or your pace, you may notice a slight difference in pace as you swap legs. That could be a muscle imbalance. It could just be that you tend to push harder with the one than you do the other, to be honest. Okay, both feet in, legs nice and straight, and row with your back and arms. So swing over your back, then pull in your arms. Okay, so you're still not grabbing early. You're taking up the weight of the flywheel with your back swing first. Then the handle goes away, and you rock forwards again. Handle forwards, rock forwards. Okay, so back, arms, arms, back. One more here. And let's roll to the front of the machine, arms straight, lean forwards, just press out with your legs. Don't go too hard with your legs, because what I'm trying to get you to get used to here is holding this position, the forward lean and the straight arms, as you push out with the legs. And also trying to get that timing right, so that as you push, that's when the handle picks up the flywheel or the water wheel, whatever you're using. Right, you don't need to stop cooling down just because I have. You can continue to row, of course, or if you want, you can clamber off the machine, find yourself a little space, and he's just popped up in the top corner doing some stretches. Okay, so you can just follow the stretches that I go through up at the top of the screen. Most of them are around about 30 seconds long. It all depends how long my whiffle waffle is at the end as I say goodbye to you, so I just time it to that. So, but we basically go through hamstrings, quads, glutes, shoulders, biceps, triceps, anything else? Upper back and things. Oh yeah, and then forearms doing the pray move as well. It's a few things to get through, but they're all quite important, or at least I find. But these are the ones that I do. I find these important in terms of just making sure my body is in a nice kind of fluid state when I'm done rowing, and that nothing's kind of all tight and bound up. There are, of course, myriad stretches that you could be doing here. So if you are used to doing stretches in certain ways, then do the ones that you're used to, but I do recommend incorporating at least quads, hip flexors and hamstrings, as well as, I suppose, shoulders as well, from the rowing point of view. You want to stretch off the muscles that you definitely used in a kind of a mean way just then on today's row. Because after all, that was 15 minutes worth of rowing. If you have been doing these rows from the very start, then well done. You've rowed 3 times longer than you did in the first session. So if you started at 5 minutes and you found that tough and you just got through to this 15 minutes, then well done. And I mean, you may just have found that just as tough as you did in the 5 minutes first, but you made it even further. You've rowed further, you've worked longer, so it's going to be better for your body, better for your rowing if this is what you're interested in getting better at, and certainly better for your fitness point of view. So the reason I talk about technique and stuff all the time is, I mean, there's a few reasons, okay? The first one really does come down to injury prevention. If you can row with a relatively good technique, you're less likely to get injured. This whole thing of leaning into the front of the machine with arms straight as you drive with the legs, it's not just about putting power into the machine. It's also about making sure that the power comes from your legs up through your posterior chain and into the machine. If you are already leaning back as you push with your legs, what you find is that all the force goes down through your lower back, okay? And then that's likely to, so if you suffer from kind of lower back pain after you've been rowing, then film yourself or watch yourself in the mirror or whatever and see if actually what's happening is that with all great intentions you lean into the front, but before you start your leg drive, you're already swinging backwards and therefore putting all that force into your lower back. So, and if you were to grab early at the front instead of keeping those arms straight, if you pull on the handle at the front, then what happens is certainly tennis elbow is quite likely from doing that, from that kind of grabbing point at the front. But you could also end up with like bicep tears, shoulder issues and things as well. Same with with the timing of when you get your legs, when you push with your legs and trying to connect your hands at the same time. If you get that slightly wrong, and what ends up doing is that as you throw your back, you jerk on the handle. What that's really doing is it's almost like, it's like, remember Action Man? Way back, Action Man, I don't know how to make it now, but basically it was his shoulder joints were held in with like pieces of elastic, and you could kind of pull them out and you could see the little piece of elastic. If you're jerking on the machine with your shoulders because you're not getting the timing right as you surge the power in from your feet, that's kind of what you're doing, is that you're pulling out Action Man's arms. And so the tendons that you've got up there get stretched and you can end up with damaged tendons in your shoulders. And actually, one of the reasons I'm bringing this up is that this machine that I'm using right now, I bought from someone who, they bought it new, with the intention to do lots and lots of rowing, but they injured their shoulder quite early on in it, and so they ended up selling it. And so, hey, I got a great deal. But I even said to the guy, I said, it's a real good chance it was just your technique that caused that shoulder injury if you'd worked on it. I didn't give him too much information because I got this for a killer deal, to be honest. I didn't want him to go, you know what, I might just hold on to this machine and I'll incorporate all your stuff about technique. So anyway, so he ended up with a injured shoulder. My guess is from a technique thing, but you never know. He might just had a damaged shoulder. You never know. But yeah, so technique is about injury prevention. It's also about motivation, because the better your technique is, the faster you can go and the longer you can go, and therefore you're going to start to get fit. The longer you can row, the fitter you're going to get. Okay, and the fitter you get, the longer you can row. It's like, and so then that means you're getting a chance to burn more calories. So you might notice you're losing weight and you're like, wow, this rowing's fantastic. I'm getting stronger, I'm fitter, I'm losing weight and whatever. And from a motivation point, that's incredible. And then if you're actually interested in speed, if you're interested in racing like a 2K or something, then a good technique versus a dodgy technique can mean the difference between like 20 seconds in a 2K row. So that's kind of the three reasons that I constantly talk about technique. Also, it gives me something to talk about, to be honest. If I didn't talk about technique, then, well, actually, in the past, because I've got like hundreds of workout videos up here. It's not just the Build Me Up series. And so if you take a listen to them, some of them I go on random tangents about DJing and cycling and my love of Deadmau5 and Van Halen and stuff, because even I get bored talking technique all the time. So yeah, so that's why I talk about it. But mostly it's down to the fact that injury prevention is huge, and then motivation and speed. Anyway. It's all to give him time to stretch, to be honest. That's the reason I should just somehow work out how to have him up there. Maybe just put on some lift music and he can be stretching away, and then I can just kind of go, yeah, bye, see you, when we're done with the row. But anyway, so there we go. 15 minutes done. Well done for doing this. I feel exactly how I have through this entire series, where after 5 minutes I was tired. After 7 minutes I was just as tired. After 10 I was just as tired. 12 and 15 today, I'm just as tired as I was after 5. So what it's showing is that I'm building myself up, and I'm kind of working within the limits that my body's able to manage right now, which is fantastic. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do a huge leap. We're going to go up to 20 minutes, because if you can do 15, I guarantee you can do 20 minutes. And it really just then comes down to your mental state. Are you happy to row for 20 minutes, all that kind of stuff, which, trust me, you will be if I'm whittering away in your ear, all right? So I will see you in that one. Remember, you don't have to jump straight up to 20. You can do the 15 again. You can go back to a 10, whatever. But then once we get to 20, we're going to stop the Build Me Up series, and then you can just go and look at a whole bunch of my other workouts. I've got beginners workouts and stuff that you can do as well. But yeah, so there we go. I will see you in the 20-minute Build Me Up workout. Thank you so much for being part of this. Do let me know how you're finding it and whether you're enjoying it and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, and I'll see you in the next one. So please take care of yourself, stay safe, be well. Bye-bye.